In the realm of microfinance institutions, the non-deposit-taking institutions fall under the umbrella of the Microfinance Institutions and Money Lending Act. Presently, we only have 1,000 businesses in the money lending sector that are licensed. Well, with me today, joining us tonight, is the manager of microfinance institutions who will help us elaborate more on the progress of the sector.
Good evening, viewers. I'm Rachel Vanessa Muhwezi. I work with Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority as Manager Microfinance Institutions. Today, we are discussing on the growth of the sector. The growth of the sector when we started in 2017, we have seen a progress. And when you look at even the FinScope's report, where the unbanked percentage is high compared to the institution, compared to the people who can access banking, we have seen a growth in the money lending sector. We have licensed over 1,000 institutions. We have licensed 208 non-deposit taking microfinance institutions. We have licensed over 146 circles. And as the authority, we managed to issue our operational guidelines for self-help group. So it is just 50,000 to apply for a license and an annual fee of 500,000. So we sensitize all entities outside there who are lending money and they haven't regularized their businesses. Please access our online applications on www.humra.go.ug to regularize your business, because you need public confidence for you to deal with the public. And also to the entities which have been licensed, we urge them to disclose what we call your interest rates, the methods of computing the interest rates, the form of contract you're signing between the borrower and the lender, and again also to the entity to revise their methods of tenures, depending if you have given me 2 million, that 2 million under interest, you should look at it as an entity that if I'm borrowing 2 million today and you're giving me this loan in 5 years, how much interest am I paying back? Is it 3 times the principal that you lent to me? So we throw back the ball to the lender, to the lending institutions. As you're lending out to the public, let us look at a fair and reasonable interest rate or outstanding balance that is being charged from the borrowers.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. So for starters, Madam Muhwezi, what do you think, what is your evaluation of the growth of the non-deposit taking institutions, specifically the money lending sector?
Non-deposit taking institutions are actually, there's a thin line between non-deposit taking institution and money lending institutions. Non-deposit taking institutions, these are entities which are licensed but they are not required to take deposits. However, they take what we call compulsory saving, because these are institutions you'll find that maybe they charge 10% as compulsory saving to disburse loans. And money lending entities most of the times are single member owned companies. So these are money lending entities most of the times because they are registered. Yeah.
With the highly unbanked population in Uganda today, would you say that this has an effective impact on the market for the money lenders?
Yes, it has. There is what I should call it like a virgin market for lenders because of highly unbanked population in Uganda. You'll find every town in Uganda here having a money lending entity where the bank cannot reach. You'll find every sub-county having a money lending entity. That is why we have licensed over 1,500 institutions under Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority, because the unbanked population has embraced institutions under the Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Money Lenders Act. and we have played a big role as the regulator. We have tried to sensitize the public to only deal with licensed entities, because when you have a challenge between a lender and a borrower, you can walk in within UMRA and log in a complaint, and we have resolved over 400 complaints. We have redeemed people's houses, people's vehicles, because there is a regulator in that space. We have what we call a complaint handling system on our website. Any anonymous person can log in a complaint, which was not there before. We have a toll-free line of 080 111 449. Any person in Kapilipiliti, in Chisoro, you call on our toll-free line. Someone will answer that call. We shall log in your complaint. We shall follow through. So that toll-free line, I can easily repeat it: 0800 111 449. We have redeemed people's properties. We have where we see that there is a high charge. Maybe the interest was exorbitant, because every entity to be licensed under UMRA, you must declare your interest rate. So at the entry, yes, we regulate from there. We cannot allow exorbitant interest to be regulated. So we look at your contract and what you declared at the entry of obtaining our license, and we are able to look through the transactions. And where we fail to mediate between the borrower and the lender, we forward to court, because by law the court has powers to even disqualify the transaction between the lender and the borrower if the interest was exorbitant. So the law empowers the court to disqualify transactions, to waive off this interest, to even say that, you know what, you have paid a lot, you should stop there. Wow. So that is how it is very interesting. So we are urging the public, if you have a complaint between the lender, kindly log in your complaint. You can find us at Renzoli Tower, Wing B, Nakasero Plot 6.
But that is for only the licensed businesses, right?
Licensed. If you're trading outside there and lending money, it is illegal. We do not even recognize you as a money lender. We don't recognize you as a non-deposit-taking institution.
Actually, that brings me back to my other question.
Yes.
So with only 1,000 licensed money lending businesses in Uganda, does that possibly cause competitiveness in the sector?
Why we have licensed so many? We want that competition, because automatically if institutions are so many, they'll drop their interest. Uganda is a liberal economy where the prices are determined by the forces of demand and supply. That is why we have not capped interest rate. However, it is allowed, and the authority can advise the minister to cap interest rate. But Uganda is a liberal economy. Forces of demand and supply determine the prices. So what the regulator has done, what we have done, is to license so many. If I am company A, I'm operating here and I'm charging 10%, and there are other 10 companies around, and one charges 5, one charges 4, borrowers will run to the person who is charging what? 4%, because it is required by law. We do on-site field inspections. You are required to display the interest rates. So if I'm a borrower, I enter your business, I look at the interest rates. I can do window shopping. I move to another entity. I look at their interest rate, maybe they're charging 4. I am looking for someone who is able to offer me at 2%. I'll move to another entity. So if I find someone who can lend to me at 2%, I'll take a loan from there. So what we are trying to do is to increase competition by licensing all those who are available there to acquire our license.
Well, you also talked about some of them having issues and having the chance of taking up these challenges to court. But then to some extent, to some large extent, most of these people that face these high interest rates, they don't go to court. Would you say that it's because of they are not aware or illiterate about this, or would they be fearing the costs of taking these issues to court?
We have had court ruling over 6 cases to lenders who lent out money to individuals without a license. And indeed, court has opened those transactions. They find out you didn't have a license. They use the Tier 4 Act. It stipulates it very well. You are required to have a license for you to lend money. So the court found out that even they were charging interest, and the court was able to rule, you lent me 10 million, I should pay you 10 million because you don't have a license for you to operate. And again, I believe people fear court, but here it is open door to the regulator. Please, the public, go to our website or use a toll-free line. You're able to log in your complaint even before you move to court, or even before using other measures of solving your issues. You walk to the regulator, we shall be able to listen in and resolve these issues. Most of them don't even require to go to court because we have resolved so many. Those that have gone to court, those are the big cases. There are big loans of amount, like someone lent out 1 billion, but the contract was not. It needs more interpretation. Yeah, we have had such cases, but there's money, like millions. Those are cases that we have handled here, and you don't need to go to court. We have handled over 400 complaints. On a yearly basis, we receive over 200 complaints, and when you assess, only 10% goes to court. And the 90% is resolved by the regulator.
Wow.
Yeah.
From what we've said, do you feel like most of these players in the money lending businesses have upheld the financial consumer protection?
Yeah, very, very true. Most of the licensed entities, they have applied the consumer protection guidelines. And those that have maybe acted outside the law, we always bring them back on how they are supposed to operate, because we do what we call on-site spot checks. And also, when you receive so many complaints from an entity, we have to bring them on board to see how are they operating. Why are we receiving so many complaints from this same entity? Can they change their mode of operation? And they have actually been able to resolve most of these complaints.
Wow. So coming to the complaints, like what could be the underlying gap between the money lenders and maybe their clients?
The underlying gap, the most frequently complaints that we receive is about you're charging me more. I feel this is, and actually if we find a contract that you did not mention anything like I'm going to charge this interest, but for you when the person defaults, this comes when the person has defaulted. But also the borrowers, when we borrow, let us pay. And also when you enter an agreement, before you enter this agreement, read the terms and conditions. Will you manage to pay back this money before you take out this loan? And also to the entity, assess the creditworthiness of the borrower before you lend out this money. It is not about the collateral. Assess their capacity. Are they going to be able to pay back the money? Then we shall resolve the issues of you're charging me more, because all these crises come when a borrower has failed to pay the monies. But also when you don't disclose as a lender on the charges, the interest, those clauses, and you don't explain them so well to the borrower, those are the ones that raise complaints.
Yeah. Wow, that has been great. So if you were to give it maybe a certain percentage or numbers, how has been the progress, the growth of the sector, of the whole sector?
There is a very big growth, because when you look at even after COVID, the aftermath, and you look at how institutions revamped, we started in 2017 with only, we licensed around 128 institutions, and now come to close of 2022, or as of date, Like when we close the quarter, we are over 1,500. So you look at the growth of the institutions is a high growth, yeah.
Wow, that has been a great discussion with you, Mrs. Mohwezi,
Thank you
Vanessa.
so much.
Thank you for joining us. And for our viewer, you will allow me take you back to the studio.